Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Linda. You can also call me Fiona. I'm a content creator, a Zimbabwean mother of two based in Canada. I create videos on like homemaking, lifestyle, and a little bit of beauty, looking good here and there. You might enjoy these videos, so you're welcome to explore a little bit of my playlist, you know, what's on this channel. And please may you consider subscribing to this channel. You might love it here. And if you're a returning subscriber, hey friend, thank you so much for coming back, for tuning into another video. You know I appreciate you so much, and thank you once again. So today's video looks a little bit different. It's a sit-down video. You can probably tell by the setting. I just want us to get straight to the point. I am probably 10 years late to this video idea, but you know what? I thought I still wanted to share my experience. As you can tell from the title on the screen, I still want to share my experience, and so we're gonna split this into a part 3. So there'll be part 1, part 2, and part 3. Part 1 will be a description of my pregnancy story, my experiences, and the part 2 will be my birth story. Part 3 will be my postpartum journey. That's like post-birth. The reason why I'm creating this video is for my memories, number 1. Number 2, I feel like we can all relate in one way or another. Maybe the young women and the ladies that are preparing for marriage, for pregnancy, for planning to have children in the future, they can kind of like, you know, learn a few things when it comes to like the green flags and the red flags, and just like things they can kind of, you know, relate or prepare for or learn. And so without taking too much time, guys, I'm super excited. I will be mixing my local language and English, so yeah, grab a snack, grab a drink. You are really gonna find this really interesting. So yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. So I'm a person, I need to pay attention to detail, especially when it comes to a sit-down video. I did the best that I could to make sure the area is neat and, you know, I look presentable. In case you're wondering about my hair, there's a claw clip. So I have the hair clipped at the back, and so if you see it like flying around and doing all sorts of things, it's just a claw clip and a scrunchie. I'm gonna be drinking my water, so I brought a water bottle, and depending on how our story is going, I want to stay engaged as well and not just talk at you, but speak with you. But also I have a cute set of nail polishes and like my top coat and base coat. There's a little bit of makeup and like my glasses in there, but yeah, I'm thinking of painting my nails whilst we do this. I also have like my cotton pads and my like rubbing alcohol, as well as my nail polish remover, and I'll get my kit to like trim. Yeah, whilst we talk, so let's get into it. I wrote some points on my phone. I have my phone with me, so I'm super excited. I'm sure some of you on this channel are like moms. Some of you are not yet moms. Some of you plan to start a family. Some of you probably don't, and that's totally okay. And I will tell you, that's one thing that I learned when I moved to Canada. One of the things that I learned, that to start a family, it's a choice. You don't have to start a family. So yeah, I've been wanting to share my pregnancy story, birth story, and postpartum journey, so let's get started. And I thought, you know, I'll just split them so that the videos are not too long, because I'm a detailed person. And happy this episode of Vlogmas. I hope you're enjoying the series so far. So my birth story starts at my childhood, and the reason why I start here is because I took myself back in time, and I thought about, okay, when was the first time that I thought about becoming a mother or starting a family? And so growing up, I grew up with, my mom was a single mom, and my dad passed way early. I was only like 5 years old, and so my mom later on passed after a couple of years, but when I was still young anyway. But there weren't really any babies around us. My cousins were around the same age with me or a little bit older. So pangapasina vechidiki like mavachich, pretty much papasina. And my mom was an introvert. She has since passed, and may she eternally rest well and rest in peace. And so I find that papasna is that. So moving forward, so what was the deciding factor for me to become a mom? For me, it was in 2005, and right now I'm currently 32. And so I was around grade 7. That's when one of my aunts, because I have a few aunties, excuse me guys, I have allergies, so I might be sneezing here and there, so please forgive me if I'm saying like excuse me and the video might cut off a little bit, but I'm feeling a lot better. So the deciding factor for me to become a mom was just watching my aunt. My aunt had a baby, and that was her first son, and she brought the baby around, and it just so happened kuti around those days tete vangu avaigara kuharare, so vaiti vaiuya nevamwe vana natete, her sisters vachipfuura nekukadoma kwataigara, me and my mom and my sibling. And she would bring her baby, and I just loved her baby. And that was like the first time I really, like, probably not the first time per se, you know what I'm trying to say, but it was at that time that to the point where I understood, like, okay, I'm holding a baby, I'm changing a baby's diaper, I'm being shown how to take care of a baby, and like, oh my gosh, I just loved my nephew. I don't know, but when I just loved him so much as a baby. And so it happened that I feel like that's when I was like, I would like to be a mom one day. And so when I entered my teen years, and my mom had since passed, and I moved in with that specific tete, and for me to be for them to be my guardians, and I am forever, I don't know how I said that, but I meant to say I am forever thankful and grateful eternally to the both of them for taking me in Nekundi Chengeta. It wasn't easy on their end, on my end, but that is just something that's priceless. In case you're wondering about my sibling, he was fine. He decided to do his own thing. So yeah, so they took me in any baby uyo anga ko atikure akuma toddler, if I remember correctly. So ndinda isara pamba if the maid wasn't there, because Tatina help us. Sometimes they don't wait to help us pamba. Ndinda isara name, I don't know, the nephew wangu mwana watete ndesara naye achikura nchipichengeta ndindaita like zve mabottles zake kana kugeza mabottles emukaka, changing diaper, kumchinja hembe, like, you know, my aunt ni tanga tine relationship yekuti chinja dansingaitiri mwana uyu kubreastfeed chete, but everything else, if she was occupied or she needed rest, ndindaita. Help eyes or yo apone apple, but it was mostly me. And I loved taking care of my aunt's son. And so for me, that's when it just certified in my brain, like, I'm gonna have a boy, I'm gonna have a son. So that was my thinking. And so becoming a teenager, guys, I used to watch DSTV a lot. My favorite channel was the Entertainment channel. Yeah, on it was channel 124, and it would have E-News, but also it would have the Kardashians. So I'm one of those who have the Kardashians, talking about this whole put together look, you know, just wanting to be just like, you know, just look good, just feel good. So yeah, well, there is a lot of controversy with that family. Honestly, I learned a lot of good things, such as like the essence of family. So watching the Kardashians around that time, Dupakatanga, my Kardashian sisters kuita Havana, Anana, Courtney, Kim, yeah, those two, because I'm sativa Nirvana. And so just seeing all of this and seeing how beautiful, obviously, and extravagant their lifestyles were, I was just like, wow, becoming a mom is just something that I look forward to and something that I want to do. Getting into my late teens, now my 18, 19 years old, I think that's when it my menstrual cycle just became, yeah, so severe regarding like pain. It wasn't anything specific that I was diagnosed. I didn't go to see a doctor for it, but when I get my cycle, it would be regular. It would come every month, but yeah, oh guys, and it wasn't really easy because I find that I just couldn't do much. This not ibuprofen, I needed it in order to kind of like function. So I don't know, I can't do so. I just really like hanzi my periods ano jeko rinopera rabaradzi jeko. Guys, nyaya jeko ka is a story for another day, because kangani katainzi zvinhu usapfeka hembe yaningi unobata jeko bati chakati chaningi unobata jeko usa. When I think about it today, now that I'm living abroad, tinoenda kuma shops, kuma thrift store uko usina trouser unotenga trouser iroro ugoripfeka. It's a really reasonable price. It's no such thing. At least kunok, but I'm not trying to dismiss the claims. So I would really like have a hard time. I remember one time mazuvana mbogara wangu gogo wangu anga vangu vari step brother ya mama mudzimai wavo ne murume wavo ndakambogara nawo for a period of time. You got that severe pain vakayozonditora kuchikoro because I couldn't get through the rest of the day. So pena kandinyeurira vakandiudza kuti zvoni ukaita nhumbu ukaita mwana, pain will disappear forever. You will have like at least a normal or reasonable level of pain when it comes to like your menstrual cycle. So I ran with that, and I was like, I remember one day I was actually driving back home because I had a car when I was a teenager, thanks to my aunt and my uncle. And I remember like waiting at the traffic lights driving, and I was just thinking, I can't wait to meet my baby, rubbing my stomach. She'd say, hey baby, Pauno, yeah, you're gonna like ease all this pain from me, because guys, and the flow didn't even make it better. So at the age of 19, but which got kampazita kazitera unozostika ndakasangana na guys, okay, ndakasangana nachi ne nababa vevana vangu, these current kids that I have right now. And bear in mind, I've never been pregnant before. So ndasangana nemunhu uyu, things were going okay, but fast, but I couldn't really see my red flags. Okay, yeah, it was just quick. It got to a point where after a year of knowing him, because muna ngarku udom divorce, so that I would be shown paperwork, and all of that. And just a little tangent. I wanted to mention this in the other video. Kuti pandakambobvunza hangu kuti zvonese chichakaitika between iwewe munhu iwewe nemunhu wako nemudzimai uyu zvamakurambana after 7 years, 3 years dzekudanana ne4 years dzemarriage. Ndakangonzi anopenga, guys. Ndakavhunza vabereki zvikanzi anopenga, ndakavhunza masiblings zvikanzi aipenga mukadzi. So you can only imagine kuti zviri kunzi chii about me. Zviziva here apenga. Yo guys, okay, yakakura ngatifambi nebora saka I'm just looking at my notes. So after like a year, I realized that I actually initiated this, to be quite honest, because I felt like I needed security in my life. There just had been issues. I just felt very misunderstood, and I think sometimes feeling kanongobuda ke kungofila kunge maybe pane zvimwe zvinhu zvari kutumwa kunzi uite, and it feels like guys, I'm smart zonyanyira here, or it's there's just a fine line. But Honestly, I didn't really understand. And so I'm the one who brought up the topic to move in with my current boyfriend at that time. Munanga clear ngedza divorce tapera akatshoni okay, but ndikugara nevabereki vangu because of divorce kana nambo tinimbogara nevabereki vangu aiwa it is well zvinozofamba. Guys, kandine mapictures ndichakukandirai mapictures nemavideos somewhere here. So ndamuva in nemunhu tichagara tese saka takapagara respect tanga takatsvaga like a shared apartment yanga ine the single mother angatori nema-issues nababy daddy wake and she had a son. So inini nemunhu wandaidana naye takava tora spare bedroom plus single mother uyu aive nemusikana basa aimbouya sometimes, so we took the second bedroom yanga iri 2-bedroom apartment kuma-avenues nango kudhuze nePrince Edward High School. So anyway tagara paya unongochidzidza munhu wako you know inini madays waya ndo pandaitaura nyaya dzoti inini ka ndapedza ma A-levels angu pano ndoda kuenda college, ndoda kuenda kuchikoro. So anyway nyaya munongozivo vanhu kana makuzongogara mese zvisina muchato, munongozivo ma-activities anenge achitransfer. Saka ipapo inini I started realizing this person anoita ma-periods ekuita ma-mood swings. I don't know how to explain it, guys, but have you ever been in a relationship nemunhu ari hot and cold? 1 minute uri kudiwa, mangwana zvitonga uri strange, you're not recognized in any way. And inini at that time my self-worth was very low and my self-esteem, so I'd find myself nzara dziya dzazombopendwa so I'd find myself I'm just very passionate about storytelling, especially if it's an experience I've had. So my insecurities aita come out ndakuti saka pane zvo ndoita seko ndokubikira ndokusukira what am I not doing that you want me to do in order for you to love me semadira waindita nezuro silent treatment anditi. So indakabva ndati nyaya ndoigadzirisa sei, because everything I was trying zvazviri kushanda. Little did I know kuti ndova red flags acho, leave, exit the relationship. I didn't know. I thought I needed to try harder. I thought I needed to do more, right? I didn't even consider the fact that munhu abuda mu 7-year relationship, he probably shouldn't be dating me. Anyway, I was 19, angari 30 years old at that time. So indakavanda bring up the topic yekuti ndakuda kutamwana. To be quite honest with you, I cannot really remember his response, but it wasn't anything exciting. It wasn't anything wow, because I would have remembered angangoro on the side of all right, okay, kada fine. Tvatapinda pabasa basa rakambobatwa inini manje 6 months dzakwana isiri kubata nhumbu, and I was very worried because I felt like that would be the fixer of the relationship. Little did I know, no, Muna can't change this person, and we're actually not compatible. We should not be together in any circumstances, because I was also hurting. I was healing, not hurting, I was dealing with some personal issues such as the loss of my parents, the loss of a lot of family members that I lost when I was younger, and other things that we will talk about in the future. So anyway, after around, I'd say 6 months, because Tata Garatese at the end of the year, so the following year, kunana June, or May, June, somewhere there, I can't really remember. That's when I discovered, okay, my period I now, let me buy a test again. And I feel like those times, the way I was disappointed, I don't really remember how that person would respond to that anyway, but I was so worried and so pressed about this thing that I was overthinking it. And I remember him actually saying, and everything, it's not gonna work, but maybe just try to relax and not overthink it. But anyway, tata move out of shared apartment kuma avenues, so takazomove in vabereki vake kuBray side. Tifatagara mina usipamina mai vamwene ma in-laws ne vaigara one of their son named Zmai wanga changorora ini takapinda mu cottage tiri tu bata inini. I think I took a test. I actually remember the day clearly, and I showed him surprise video camera setup. No, not at all. One bedroom cottage, and we moved into that because I plus I was kept on pressing, so I enrolled muka college kinds career management center kuna ndakangana road, but kujuzi no construction house. So inini manje munhu biyabata ndaratidza munhu katest munhu angangoti andaiziva kuti watone ndozviziva ndaiziva. So it was a very cold response. Ndandambozvifungisisa. I'm over the moon, everything. You know, I've always loved documenting my experiences, so I started taking pictures of like the growth of the baby. I started to bleed within the first month or second. The first month, and you know, Google searching it's probably implantation and stuff like that. So we got a doctor, a gynae called Avenues. I just forgot his name, but he was one of the best gynaes, and he said to me, if I remember well, guys, this was 10 years ago, he said that it's just implantation, let's just watch it, this bleeding should go away. Yakapera. It was spotting, not bleeding, my apologies, spotting. So that went away, and I was fine. So yeah, my cravings, honestly, I didn't crave anything, to be quite honest. I didn't crave anything, but I remember much careful. But guys, we were so poor, like literally poor. Like papa story nachikafu so ndivungoti okay fine tikabika mukondo wesadza panapa ndodya nditi ndatotishandisa hupfu huri more than manyeruti zozodyi. I was always the planner, you know, munhu aishanda part time anga asingashandi full time, so mari yayo apo napo plus anga ine ka second job kake kaimupa kuti atravel ndopa itombobudawo mari papo, but it just wasn't really working out panye hchikafu apa. Dzimwe nguva my in-laws, ex-in-laws aimboitawo achibatsira pachikafu, achibatsirawo you know, nyama or maveggie, but yeah. So after the spotting, honestly, getting into the relationship, I was very isolated, and for so many reasons. I think me being my personality type, and so I found that with relationships I would just like be quiet and not really respond. But it didn't help then, because I was in a toxic relationship, and he didn't like my friends, so my friends were cancelled. He didn't like certain people within my family, so I knew they would have done this for you, treated you this way, and so I distanced. And then that was the isolation that was actually happening, and that's something that was toxic, and it should not be happening, especially around the time where I'm pregnant and I actually need my family. But we'll get into another factor in a second on why that happened as well. Okay, so let's keep it pushing because I easily get distracted, so let's continue. Just tying in with isolation, honestly, back then there was not much being shared online, or maybe but I remember I was on social media. That's the thing. There were issues around being on social media, and I didn't say, you know, when you're coming out of high school, like, you just have friends, ex-boyfriends. So, you know, some people would still stay in communication with me, and I would stay in communication with them, and that didn't sit well with this person, to the point where everybody got cut off, you know. So I didn't have social media, but pretty much, so maybe ndokusara wanandakaita, but papa sina jema jekuti there was that cultural belief you could see like you never know. And feeling like this was my first baby, I just wanted to protect that, and he did not allow me to tell the baby. So I was actually pregnant for about 6-7 months, if not 8, because then icky, remember, body and yeah, it was very, very tiny and unhealthy, because of the toxicity of the relationship, which is something that I didn't really vocalize because I didn't want to stress him, because I needed but yeah. By the way, pregnancy as it continued, so vakatakazoudza vabereki vacho kurana 7-8 months kwenombo apana day one throughout this entire pregnancy yandakambo rub my feet, yandakambo massage kwa my feet musana kupiwa a back massage, yandakambonzi usatakure bhaketi roro mirani kutakurire, yandakambonzi I think hembe dzinenge dzakambowachwa ka1 maybe, but kumbonzisiya hembe idzodzo ndinowacha ndinoyanika ndikoaina kubika munhu aimbobato apo ombobika, but you know that well-rounded care yopiwa like a pregnant woman, guys, I never got that. But also I will admit I was very active, and so I was okay and I was happy to do these things because then ndikufadza munhu nekufadza relationship chinza mudzimai chaiye anonyatsoklina imba yake, you know, dzimwe advice dzimwe dzadzichingoteerera muvanhu. I was applying all of that. Little did I know for a pregnant person I was doing too much. But I'll tell you where too much paid off. We'll get there. So Jadaro, I remember bagetka funeral. Remember gogonda granova murumo wavo vakafirwa, unfortunately. Mbuya vavo ndaitovaziva ndakatombogara navo ipataenda kumusha taienda unaona mbuya finally vakazofa yange old age. She was close kunana 100 uko, and honestly vazukuru vavo expected me to be there kufuneral, but I now kwanza kuenda, and that caused like a rift between me and vazukuru vacho achiti sis no funeral, and I couldn't tell them that I was pregnant because she believed tauri. So you might be wondering as well, or even just hamadzangu in general. No one knew, unfortunately, not even my closest cousins. Thinking about it today, I'm just like, what? Guys, because even the dynamic of this family, because you might be wondering, they are stand alone type of family. So I remember tete wangu wakazoshaika na 2020, but I told her, because she was the tete who I'm like comfortable with out of all my tetes to talk about stuff like this. And I remember tete wangu wakantumira message vakanditi it's not kudzitsera zvemacondom naiwe, like she just wasn't she wasn't upset, but she wasn't proud of me, you know, because in my family, like, those things are handled proper, you know, chikoro, pass, you know, college, university, not college, you know, university, or better certificate, no better degree, you know, so further with another PhD, doctorate, but line, then which was lobola proper, which come to proper, mogaramese proper, then mozofunga jokutana. I didn't do all that. So pakadzi go twazvitsvakirai kuno ndo time yakaedza kuti munhu yona ndinayanga ataura chiini vabereki vake kuti adaita tumira tsvakirai kuno nekuti sezvo auya uzogara kuno. Ipapo nasadani nhumbu, yeah, because vabereki vacho takamuvha nawo. Remember ndakamuvha in November after a year of dating, and then the following year takamuva in vabereki vake kunana April, end of April. So between that period pakataura ngetsvakirai kuno, but then family yangu vakairamba because that's not their standards. So, and they didn't support the relationship. So doctor ndainoona doctor, honestly uyu munhu yakabatsira ake, the person wandaidana naye akabatsirawo pakuti dzimwe nguva imbokumbira shamwari yake mota to drive ku appointment iyi. Mukanzwa vana vangu vanenge vadzoka mumba, if you hear like talking in the background. And then number-one, a little bit of time by myself. So jadaro, you know, then yeah, aiedza kuya nekombi, you know, to some appointments. Nanda enrolled ku career management center ndakuita madiploma angu too. No, ndakaita one at that time, which lasted about 6 months, which was the latter part of my pregnancy. Hey guys, the way I would be trolled nevanhu muharare umu mustreet or even muclass vakupona muclass mangu vainditi zvoni sikaione nhumbu yaina baba sikaione nhumbu ring yacho iri kupi ndichazoti I'm married zvinzi ring yacho iri kupi ndakasvika pakubhega munhu uyu ndasvika kumba kuti naiwe kana usiri kukwanisa kundiroora usina kana mari yacho chaka chingonditengerawo ring chingoenda kana pastreet inoza majewelry anowaridzwa parodi paya paya ingonditengerai 50 cents chikungoti ningosvikawo ndichingoratidza kunge ndine something ndopaakazondipa chimwe chiringi so chaanga agara akandipake chainzi zvoni chiri very sentimental chiringi ichocho saka ndochandaipfeka guys ndikakuradzai picture yeringi iyoyo haitomboite kunge ringi mega munoseka ivi ndochandaifamba nacho ichocho paruoko apa kuti iite kunge ringi vanhu vachindiseka muclass chinzi wakangoitswa nhumbi iwewe hauna murume chichi yandai tichitenga ringi proper pastreet une baba venhumbu ndaitaura ndega munhu anga asingade to be quite honest anga asingatodi zvecommitment zvekudaro little did I know, I didn't understand at that time, you know. But anyway, that was such a traumatic thing for me, you know. Imagine kura makombi every day nchida uchikoro mtamtown nchikura makombi nchidzoka tatsina mota, and so that those insults nongozova rume pastreet vanenge vachingokuti ive chiya chikuridza rumere iwe you know whatever. Guys, yeah, that's another thing about. Anyway, if you know, you know. So my appointments ndaienda ndaitorwa blood, weight, height. Honestly, the baby was doing so good, the pregnancy was doing so well, and number of data very strong. I did my first trimester, yes, I did throw up, but it wasn't excessive or bad. Nausea, obviously, the first trimester, but it wasn't. I can't even exist. So yeah, it actually progressed very well. Wakaita scan, ndopa takadiscover kuti muscan, guys, ndakachema. I remember tatakura makombi tikaburuka pakukabana tikakwira nechekumusoro ko tikaenda noitwa scan tikadzoka. Ndakachema because I wanted to have a son. I didn't realize a girl would be a blessing at that time, because I would think of what I've been through as a girl child, and that would experience a lot of traumatic things to the point when ndaitorwadziwa kuti Mwari kumadarire ndikukwanisa kureisa mwanasikana in this really crazy world, you know. I don't want her to feel the pain of what I've been through. And honestly, if you're listening closely, I think you understand what I went through. There's something that happened when I was young. So anyway, he consoled me, why Mwana is a blessing, you know, he was excited, you know, haifara. So panyaya kuzoti zvoni kudzam vabereki vake kuti ndine nhumbu avangoti okay zvatopera. There's no excitement. Vangoti skama nasanda maile nyibavazvazingoti saka iwe Fiona utauri kuti ndine nhumbu urungofamba. Guys, I carried so small. Pazinchigara naamwere ndaigara ndakasunga zambia ndakapfeka t-shirt zombe, usually ma t-shirts emunhu uyu baba venhumbu, so vaisatombozviona zvekutoti the most weight I gained in this first pregnancy was 64 kgs if I remember accurately, and to which today I am a little bit beyond that. So it was a small pregnancy, but we'll get there, but yeah. So anyway, that's how she says. I was very active, guys. Up and down. I was very active, and I'm so thankful for that. Yeah, my cravings are told Papa Sina. I try to pretend chicken slice, but I'm just an authentic person. So advice around my pregnancy, it was my in-laws. It should be my in-law or maybe my sister-in-law. Muroora taigara naye andizvoni unofanira kutora sipo yekugezesa kunge geisha weizora kunyasi. Hold on, guys, offline mbomirai paita vadiki pana. Honestly, if you've watched this until this part, like, thank you so much. That's why that you split it into 3, because ain't no way. So I remember around those days still, even when I was pregnant, I had to taught my basa when she said, ndoda kuitawo zvema-nails, ndoda kuitawo zvemabhiro, ndoda kuitawo zvekuti ndipinze mari mumba, because I was bringing in money into the home, but not the standard way yekuti munhu unoshanda and you get paid or you sell something. Munhu airamba achiti zvona iwa wanzogaoneka uchishanda pamashops here, because pane mashops anga ari padhuze. Ndaiti ndikaendawo ndikanovhura kashopi ipapo or ka something kakona hanze zvinonimakisa unoonekwa neshamwari dzangu dzandikaenda nadzo kuchikoro. There were just so many excuses to just keep me inside, guys. So this entire pregnancy, I was literally either college kangu mtown or ndiri pamba, isolated. And I'm very zvekuchechi kwakusita kuchechi kwataitomboenda because chechi yange iri kuAvondale, so yange yatokure. Ndakana ndiri pamba guys. Iyi power FM ndaita kuteerera kusvika ndakutoziva kuti anapatisana naKVG vanouya kuma 3 o'clock, ndakutoziva zvese zvekudhipisa, like everything, all their sayings zvakanya chibaba. Those days ndopa zvainetsa zvekuti chibaba and everything, like ndakaita kurura chaiko. Apa hapana munhu aitomboziva, like my cousins angu, you know, my friends nandisisina, right? So zvadaro. Anyway, ndo advice ndikapiwa yekunzi hanzi sipo inobatsira nekuti mwana kana akuzobuda anongoita kutsvedza obuda kuzaso. Honestly, I did share this suggestion kune baba venhombo, but akangotiwo because iye panguva iyoyo aishanda mumedical zvikanzi aiwa inandi fungi kuti you need to do that. Ini ndovana ngofunga ngoti honestly let me not, because you never know what I could do to my baby, right? So, but I will say there was a lot of friction mu relationship because already munhu anambostopa hot and cold zvake akaramba achiita, and I discovered kuti andinambobvira ndakasurprisewawo. Unongoziva zvingoti ndakusurprisea ndakuitira chakati, not really. Obviously aiedzawo kuconnectawo nenhombo nekungobatawo dumbu nekuona nekuedza kutaura nedumbu, you know, tingazoti tongoappreciate zvidiki izvozvo, but nyaya intimacy kutaura chokwadi ka pasaidi roroka dead gone. Waisandiguma. I don't know why, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. Zvimwe pane vana vari kuteerera panapa. Tazopinda panyaya yezita rekuti okay, so name picking topa mwana Starry Bandit. Saka nyaya iyoyo, I think iye nebaba venhumbu avanene go through mazita and things like that, but inini nandine a traditional name like South Africa that I really wanted to give my child, and then iye akavatsvaga zita rechirungu. So ndiye akavapa the first name remwana, ini ndibva ndazopa the second, because I didn't mind kuti ndiani ari kutora first ndiani ari kutora second. Plus remember I was trying to please munhu yuka, so kumfadza. So ndakamuti iwe tora the initiative to give the first name, but nyaya tasolidify yange yamboenda kunani kune vamwene natezvara vabereki vake. Akati zvoni tati tikuudzei kuti taakupanyaya yemasai evana, isusu ndiye aitaura hanzi isusu tichadecide, inimi munogona kusuggesta, but you are not allowed kuname mwana wedu kumupa zita. So that was honestly hazvina kubuda hazvo zvakanaka, mashoko iwaya haana kubuda zvakanaka, just from me observing. But ina ndakanyarara ndanditori Muroora Z mazuva ekutaura akazouya, but those early days Z. Anyway, tadecide pazita ipapo, and then zvekuchikoro college ndakuudzai kuti yange itori nyaya yekuenda kucollege dumbu rakaita kudai so. And ndinambobvira ndakaitirwa baby shower, guys. Apakana munhu one akatomboronga kundiitira surprise baby shower. Inini I don't think I even really brought it up because mari yacho pasina, saka ndikutaura nyaya baby shower, what exactly am I talking about, or even zvekuti we'll get to mwana azouya, but havasangana any recognition or anything, even zviri intimate between ini nemunhu, nothing. Even zvemazuva zvekuti nhumbu dziri kutengerwa makeke edzi every milestone, nothing. And that was really painful for me to realize like that's my reality. Remember, ndinikamunaiona entertainment channel tichiona makardashians achiitirwa these really extravagant things. Not that I wanted something extravagant, ndaingoda that recognition yekuti if you wanna, we appreciate you, wakatakura muzukuru, you know, and anga atori muzukuru musikana wekutanga in the family. Anyway, it is well though. Zvozovamba paya inge yangu yekuti ndakupedzisira kwenhumbu. Guys, nandabo and ndane fear yekuti saka mwana uyu achabuda sei. Those were some of my fears, honestly. It was just childbirth. Kuti mwana uyu achabuda sei. I didn't think about that. Achabuda sei mudumbu. So zvinhu zvekuti zvaingondinetsa kuti achabuda sei. Nandine app, yes, nanditori ne-app as well, and I follow up pafoni pangu ndichicheka milestones a pregnancy. I did do a little too much googling though. It didn't stress me, but I just knew way too much that I needed to. How I prepared myself for childbirth, honestly, ndakangozvudza kuti it's gonna be okay. I just spoke positively over my birth experience. Musoro mangu zvisati zvaitika kuti zvichafamba zvakanaka. So that's the best way that I prepared myself. So when it comes to like my hospital bills, takaenda my hospitals taka explore bill, you know, Baines Avenue, Iruma Avenues, to explore Belvedere Maternity. I don't know if there was a third yet, I don't know, but we settled on Belvedere Maternity very quickly. It just felt like home. It felt like, you know, I just didn't want to explore too much. I just liked it. So vakatipa a tour, obviously some paperwork, vakatiudza kuti munofana kuunza list yezvinhu zvakadai so mutengera mwana is tinokupai zvakati, pamunouya make sure you check in here, and then tinomuisa waiting room umu ndoma achaita labor yake, then tozomuvha kuroom yaanoita birth. So that was really good. They were really like kind and reasonable to us. Tatisina medical aid, so zvese zvazvitongori cash, and inini I contributed I'd say a fair amount, as well as and then yeah, we settled on Belvedere Maternity, and yeah, takangotanga kungoita my payments, zvazvitori my payments plan because marriage papa's tumburina preparation yangu guys ndakaitenga $50 yangu inini yandakaburitsa 50 US. Pakakwana zvese dishi. Ndakaenda kueka kunotengeswa mauniform downtown muHarare. Kuna na NB uko kuzasi. Kune mashopu tuko mauniform. Ndikatenga dishi, ndikatenga masocks, ndikatenga kakayembe, you know, tuma tracksuit 2-3. Mwana anga asina kana zvinhu. Anga asina. For a standard newborn, ari kuzvarwa nhasi, mwana wangu anga asina tauro hani, zvinhu zvazvingori 1 zvishoma zvazvitori ma2-3 nemadhaipawo achazoti ainzi chiwo madhaipa takazokwanisa kungotsvagawo, but usually zvazvato zvekutotiwo after mwana auya ndopapa kutoyo kuti toshandira tumadhaipa zvemapaycheck to paycheck chaizvo. But yeah, that was my pregnancy experience, and I carried my pregnancy full 9 months, 32 weeks exactly. Obviously andinambovira ndakazvimba makumbo zvikudaro, or my hands or like swelling, no. Ndakaita UTI at some point. Now the doctor just drink water, so I drank as much water as I could. In the end, questioning UTI guys, because I know zvaitika. I think you probably tell. We won't get into that, but but anyway, I remember. So that was the only thing we got worried about the baby. But a very interesting experience. You could see I wish I had received a lot more love than I did. But you can't choose. Well, I chose that I chose that person. I chose his family. So and it was very unfortunate for me. And I over I take maternity clothes here, photo shoot kupi. Kwa was don't worry. Now I took a star and it's so I tell you so then so continue to a koshe. Or gwede you know. But something that I carried well. And my baby was well, obviously all the beautiful stuff, you know, the milestones were really on time. even up until the end. Obviously my eggs sekurara unochimuka multiple times in the bathroom. I did that as well, struggling with ndorara side rip, you know, at the end, at the stage which prepare labor. But yeah, I spent most of my pregnancy days ndega, either munhu yanga ari kubasa kana kubasa always kubasa ngomuno manyiro ndabiko kasadza nemuriwo nezvinenge zviripo papo ngodyo ngoyekurara ngokwano ngorarawo ngomugo, same thing every day. So yeah, but it felt good to kind of be off my menstrual cycle for 9 months, you know. And yeah, in case you're wondering, I can tell you this: Jeko yagapera. So those severe cramps after birth yagapera. So I will continue in part 2 of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, thumbs up, all the things. Honestly, that's my experience, that's my personal story. Remember, like I always say, especially ngachitaura nyaya dzinobata nevamwe vanhu, kana paine afunga kuti abatikana arwadziwa aiwa zvichengete ikoko, iyi experience yangu, history yangu, and I have the free will to share it the way I experienced it. But yeah, I'm so excited for part 2. If you're excited for part 2, guys, let me know in the comment section. Kuti part 2, just drop a heart. It just let me know that you will be tuning in for part 2 of this video. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. And yeah, I'm happy I shared that experience with you guys. A few things here and there because the video but just pick a few things that you then pick. I got my red flags for sure, I got my green, but yeah, thanks guys. I'll see you in the next episode. Spoken a lot. Bye.